Shipyards across Commonwealth space, in orbit around Earth, Luna yards, Titan slipways, and the growing dry docks of Eden Prime, shifted from construction for exploration to a dual-purpose program, vessels that could protect life and project restraint. The design brief was never aggressive: defend, deter, preserve. Yet the engineering choices were uncompromisingly effective. New classes emerged. Guardian-class cruiser, a multi-role escort and command ship, heavy on sensors and halcyon-integrated reactors, designed to escort convoys and support diplomatic missions. Sentinel frigate, fast, agile, with robust ECM and point defense to intercept raids and boarding craft. Aegis carrier, flagship light carrier, houses autonomous patrol craft for rapid response to remote incidents, used in convoy protection and humanitarian extraction. Atlas-class dock, mobile shipyard, floating modular yards that could erect and repair hulls near operational theaters. The most consequential weapons development was the adoption of MAC systems, magnetic accelerator cannon arrays, for large vessels. MACs were attractive. They relied on brute electromagnetic acceleration of dense projectiles and, when fired in rapid volleys, could strip armor, devastate kinetic arrays, or disable enemy weapons. They required immense, instantaneous power, made feasible by halcyon-driven reactor cores whose absorbers turned ambient and combat radiation into reserve energy. Importantly, MACs were designed with restraint in mind: non-explosive projectiles, scalable yields, and programmable failsafes to avoid catastrophic collateral damage against colonies or atmospheric targets. They were deterrent tools rather than tactically nuclear weapons. The rising scale and scope of fleet operations forced a structural shift. The Commonwealth Defense Force, CDF, a defensive federal force organized around protecting planetary and orbital assets, transitioned into the Commonwealth Navy, a professional naval service for a species that now truly lived between worlds. Key changes: command reorganization. Theater admiralties replaced regional task forces. Admirals were appointed with peacetime and wartime contingencies in mind. Naval doctrine: defend life, deny aggression, preserve sovereignty became the Navy's official creed. Engagement rules emphasized minimal casualties and maximum restraint. Training: the Olympus Academy, Earth Orbit, and the Eden Naval College developed joint curricula blending diplomacy, linguistics, and precision warfare. Officers learned to use MAC volleys to disable rather than annihilate. Fleet architecture: carrier groups and convoy screens became standard. Guardians and Sentinels escorted civilian traffic while Atlas docks supported forward maintenance. The Commonwealth Navy was built to be visible and responsible, a force meant to reassure allies and deter predators, not to conquer. Work on shield integration, using the SARN designs, continued. The crucial Commonwealth innovation was selective spectrum shielding, shields that blocked directed energy, high-energy particles, and kinetic projectiles while permitting the faint cosmic background radiation halcyon needed. Once this calibration was proven at sea trials, the result was a survivability leap. Commonwealth vessels could absorb, redirect, and rely on halcyon recovery, while their shields blocked inbound threats. The SARN drive system was integrated into ship architecture, outwardly presenting Commonwealth vessels as using the same basic FTL design to foreign sensors. In technical reality, the SARN system was slower and auxiliary, a theatrical compatibility layer. The null drive and the deeper secrets of halcyon remained tightly concealed in vaults and under compartmented clearance. Political capital followed: joint training exercises, port visits to SARN stations, and shared rescue missions built trust. Yet the Commonwealth never surrendered control of halcyon or null drive technologies. The relationship with the SARN matured into careful cooperation, the soil from which a formal treaty would grow. In the wake of humanity's first contact with the SARN Imperium, the two civilizations forged a bond of mutual protection. This became known as the Treaty of Mutual Defense. The treaty committed each side to come to the aid of the other should they be attacked by outside forces. It established secure, entanglement-linked communications and a joint warning network, allowing rapid coordination across light years. Limited access to ports, repair facilities, and medical stations was granted, but permanent bases required mutual consent. Oversight was provided by a Joint Defense Council, a body composed equally of human and Sarn representatives, which would approve large-scale actions and resolve disputes. Technology was shared cautiously. Shield theory and non-critical FTL concepts were exchanged to aid cooperation, while each side retained their most sensitive designs and strategic secrets. Optional joint programs allowed collaboration on defensive systems, while proprietary technologies remained under strict control. Beyond the battlefield, the treaty encouraged cultural and humanitarian exchange. Scientific research, education, and diplomacy became tools to strengthen trust and prevent conflict. Ratified for 50 years, with renewal only by mutual consent, the treaty marked a turning point. It was humanity's first formal alliance beyond the Sol system, a declaration that the Commonwealth would act with both honor and caution as it reached into the stars. After 5 years of working closely with the Sarn Imperium, the Human Commonwealth had established a clearly defined and defensible space within the 50-light-year radius surrounding Sol. Fleet operations were streamlined, with patrol routes, supply lines, and outpost networks optimized for rapid deployment. Large-scale MAC batteries had been integrated into capital ships, giving the fleet unprecedented firepower relative to the standard galactic forces. Expansion remained cautious and deliberate. Humanity did not seek vast territory. Their philosophy was clear. We don't need a lot of space. We just want to make the most of what we have. Colonies and research stations were placed in optimal locations, balancing habitability and strategic value. Ships were constructed with dual purposes: exploration and defense. Every step was taken with the knowledge that a disciplined and capable fleet would deter any misjudgment without requiring aggressive action. By the time the Commonwealth delegation approached the Galactic Council, orbiting the neutral world of Neros III, their territorial and military foundation was impressive yet understated, a testament to a species that valued security and preparation over ostentation. The vast chamber of the Galactic Council stretched out before the human delegation, a kaleidoscope of species, shapes, and colors. Towering crystalline forms, luminous gaseous entities, insectoid exoskeletons, and aquatic diplomats floated or walked through the grand hall. Every ambassador carried the weight of their homeworld and culture, and the air hummed with curiosity, calculation, and centuries of interstellar experience. At the center of the chamber, Ambassador Gwen O'Connor of the Human Commonwealth stood poised, flanked by her aides. Behind her, the Sarn Imperium's ambassador, Drakkar Svel, remained immobile and stern, his golden eyes sweeping the assembly with calm authority. The Sarn's sponsorship of humanity's admittance lent gravity to the proceedings, signaling to the Council that these newcomers were not to be underestimated. The chamber quieted as Speaker Silera Fenth of the Ilari Concord formally opened the session. A subtle shimmer of light from her translucent feathers underscored the peaceful nature of the Concord, while her voice, calm and deliberate, carried across the hall. Representatives of the Galactic Council, she began, today we welcome a new member, the Human Commonwealth. Sponsored by the Sarn Imperium, the humans have shown remarkable resilience and capability. We look forward to their contributions to interstellar peace and cooperation. A soft murmur rippled through the assembly. Ambassador Gwen took a steadying breath. Every eye, every sensor, every telepathic projection seemed to focus on her. She adjusted the ceremonial cloak of deep navy that denoted her office and stepped forward. I could feel the weight of every gaze as I raised my voice, careful, measured. Honored members of the Galactic Council, I began. I am Gwen O'Connor, Ambassador of the Human Commonwealth. It is both a privilege and a responsibility to address you today, and I speak on behalf of all humanity as we take our place among the stars. I paused, letting the enormity of the chamber sink in. From the flicker of electroluminescent communication across the Voan delegation to the gentle glow of Lyria Venka's bioluminescent markings, every species watched intently. We are a species whose homeworld, Earth, has shaped us to value cooperation, ingenuity, and perseverance, I continued. We have established our borders, set our territories, and expanded responsibly. Humanity does not seek vast dominions. We wish only to make the most of the space we inhabit and to participate in the shared responsibilities of the Galactic Council. I could see the questions forming even as I spoke. Some were subtle, telepathically probing. Others came in polite voices. "Humans have predators?" asked Ambassador Lyerthil of the Velith Compact. "Who is the apex species on your homeworld?" I answered confidently, carefully weaving in facts and context without revealing more than necessary. "Humans are the dominant species on Earth," I said. "Our society has adapted to maintain balance with the ecosystems of our homeworld. We study and respect our natural environment, and we continue to learn from it." Ambassador Kaeldar Neve of the Serity Dominion tilted his head, the shifting chromatophores of his skin reflecting intrigue. "Your species has known war?" he asked. I had anticipated this. I drew upon the guidance given by Ambassador Svel. "We understand the concept of conflict and defense," I replied, steady and even. "Our military strategies reflect careful planning and the maintenance of order. Beyond that, our traditions and experiences are unique to our society." No lie was spoken, yet no sensitive detail was disclosed. Questions about past conflicts, losses, or campaigns were met with neutral, politically correct responses. Every diplomat accepted them without pressing further, a silent acknowledgement that the Sarn Imperium had prepared the ground well. Ambassador Drakkar Svel remained silent, his presence like a living seal of credibility. When he finally inclined his head toward me, I understood the subtle approval. Humanity had navigated the first test. The Council was watching, learning, and, most importantly, accepting. As the session progressed, minor powers inquired about human biology, technology, and social structure. Ambassador O'Connor answered each with clarity and poise. Questions about Earth's native species were met with carefully framed explanations. Inquiries into human military capability were answered in broad strokes, emphasizing strategy and readiness rather than history or casualties. The Galactic Council took notes, some glowing with holographic projections, others recording psychic impressions. Despite the diversity of their cultures and the novelty of humanity, a sense of cautious curiosity prevailed. The Sarn Imperium's sponsorship ensured respect, and Ambassador O'Connor's measured performance earned intrigue rather than suspicion. Humanity had entered the galactic stage, their presence acknowledged and validated, their unique approach to expansion noted without exposing vulnerabilities. By the end of the day, whispers of cautious admiration rippled through the assembly. Humanity's introduction was not only successful, it had set the tone for careful diplomacy, deliberate observation, and the quiet assertion that Earth's people were ready to contribute meaningfully to the wider galaxy. The chamber emptied slowly after the formal session. Delegates lingered to confer, consult aides, or quietly scan new arrivals. Ambassador Gwen O'Connor lingered near the dais, her posture relaxed, but still dignified. Behind her, Drakkar Svel approached, his massive form moving with deliberate grace. The burnished gold of his eyes caught the light of the chamber, surveying both the room and the human ambassador. The Sarn's presence alone radiated authority. Where most ambassadors commanded respect with words or subtle energy, Svel commanded it simply by being. He stopped a respectful distance behind O'Connor, waiting for her to acknowledge him before speaking. "Ambassador Svel," I said, inclining my head, "thank you for your guidance." I could feel the eyes of the Council on us the entire time. Svel's voice was low, deliberate, and edged with the gravitas of someone who had led fleets into battle. "You performed as you should," he said. "But you must remember, this council is unlike anything you have experienced. Their concept of conflict is brief, contained, and sanitized. They will measure you against their understanding of war, strategy, and risk. You cannot allow them to see the full measure of human capability, or they will misunderstand your intent." I nodded, recalling the months of preparation, the briefing materials, and the subtle advice he had imparted. "I kept the responses factual," I said. "No embellishment. No omissions that could be questioned. I only framed our capabilities within the accepted parameters of the Council." Svel inclined his head slightly, almost imperceptibly approving.
Exactly.
Truth must be maintained, but truth is often a question of framing. The Council does not need to know what humans have endured. They only need to understand what humans are capable of now. I considered this, reflecting on the balance we needed to strike. Diplomacy was not only about speaking, but about shaping perception without deception. So deflection and focus on current capability, not history, I said. Precisely, Svel replied. It is why we sponsored your admittance. Your presence is legitimate, but your past is a matter of discretion. In the galaxy, appearances matter as much as reality. You must project capability without fear, readiness without provocation. I exhaled, feeling the weight of the responsibility settle on my shoulders. And our technology? Our fleet? The Council will notice, but not understand the full potential.
Correct.
Their experience with war is brief. What you have accomplished in one engagement would be measured by them as a campaign. Keep your answers measured. Emphasize cooperation, strategy, and preparedness. Leave room for curiosity, but never for concern. I smiled slightly, appreciating the clarity of his advice. It is reassuring to have a guide with such perspective. Svel's golden eyes softened just a fraction, a rare display of Sarn acknowledgement. You will do well, human. The Council watches, yes, but they will learn. And when they do, they will respect your restraint and your readiness. That is more important than revealing everything. As Svel departed toward the Sarn delegation, Ambassador O'Connor straightened her shoulders. The chamber would see humans as measured, disciplined, and competent, guided by experience and diplomacy, yet carrying the quiet weight of their unique potential. In the quiet that followed, O'Connor knew the true work had only begun. Every meeting, every casual conversation, every answer posed in the Council would be a test of framing, perception, and subtle strategy. And with Svel's mentorship, humanity was ready to navigate it, carefully, deliberately, and with the quiet assurance that they would be taken seriously. The first day was behind them. The journey of earning trust, shaping alliances, and quietly demonstrating capability had only just begun. Humanity's place in the galactic order was secured for now, but the next steps would require patience, discipline, and strategic subtlety, lessons that Svel had made abundantly clear. The days following humanity's formal introduction to the Galactic Council were a whirlwind of activity. Networking events stretched across the chamber halls and expansive conference rooms of the Council's orbital seat. Economists, legal scholars, and defense strategists mingled, discussing trade agreements, galactic law, and spaceborne defense protocols. The human delegation participated in every session, absorbing the nuances of interstellar commerce, judicial precedents, and the subtle intricacies of shared defense responsibilities. Each presentation reinforced the Council's expectation. Membership came with duties, not just privileges. It was during a briefing on Council defense policy that the Commonwealth learned the specifics of their first assignment. They would patrol the outer rim borders of Council space, including the sectors adjoining the Sarn Imperium, the Varic Dominion, and the Orlith Ascendancy. The required patrol force was substantial, no fewer than 1 carrier. For battleships, 8 cruisers and 12 frigates. I raised my hand during the briefing, needing clarity. Is there an upper limit to the size of the fleet that could respond if our patrol units are threatened or engaged? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. The Council representative glanced at the manuals and shook their head.
No.
Any size is permitted. The fleet may be reinforced to any degree deemed necessary to fulfill its mission. I nodded slowly, weighing the implications. Humanity's null drive and the growing Commonwealth Navy would allow rapid response far beyond most member species' expectations. It was reassuring, and a subtle advantage we would quietly carry without announcing it. After the session, I conferred with the defense delegation. We need to consider the resources required for continuous patrol, I said, but also the flexibility to scale up if circumstances demand it. One of our admirals, a veteran of the early null drive trials, replied, with the patrol assignment including Sarn and Varic borders, we can deploy in sectors within hours. Reinforcements could arrive almost anywhere in our territory within a day. I allowed myself a faint smile. That is the advantage we must leverage carefully. We must honor the duty without revealing the full scope of our capability. Restraint, but readiness. That is our message to the Council. Humanity's understanding of its new obligations crystallized quickly. The Commonwealth would be responsible for a critical stretch of the Outer Rim, a frontier that bordered both honorable militaristic powers and neutral states. Yet, even within the strict patrol requirements, the humans recognized the latitude they had been granted. There was no ceiling on their response, no limitation on the size or power of the forces they could bring to bear. The Commonwealth could act decisively, a fact that was quietly acknowledged in internal discussions but would remain subtle in public presentations. As the networking sessions continued, humanity absorbed not only the expectations of its council duties, but also the politics and subtle hierarchies that guided interactions between empires. With each conversation, each handshake, and each shared meal, the Commonwealth's diplomats and military leaders sharpened their understanding. Being a member meant visibility, responsibility, and influence. And with careful navigation, it also meant a quiet, unspoken edge over those who did not yet understand the full measure of humanity's capabilities. The first patrol of the Commonwealth Outer Rim Fleet moved silently through the deep void at the edge of human-controlled space. The fleet was modest by human standards, 1 carrier for battleships, 8 cruisers, and 12 frigates, just enough to meet the minimum obligations of the Galactic Council. Yet at its heart, dominating the formation, was Dreadnought Resolute, a hulking testament to human engineering. Among the 5 dreadnoughts constructed, it was the first deployed to active service. Its armor, 10 meters of layered composite and reactive plating, glinted faintly in the starlight, a shield built to shrug off volleys from even the most powerful magnetic accelerator cannons. The patrol's route hugged the borders of the Sarn Imperium, Varric Dominion, and Orlith Ascendancy, moving in precise formations drilled during years of Commonwealth Navy exercises. Communication was steady, disciplined, every ship in synchronized motion. Sensors swept the void, cataloging passing asteroids, natural phenomena, and the occasional ship from minor powers passing through council lanes. Despite the vastness of space, the patrol remained uneventful. There were no pirate skirmishes, no sudden flare of hostility, only the steady pulse of the fleet's engines, the hum of Mac batteries charging in readiness, and the disciplined chatter over intercoms. Even so, the presence of the dreadnought altered the perception of any who might have come too close. Its mass, its armor, its very reputation radiated deterrence. Captain Leora Chan of Cruiser Aegis noted it with quiet satisfaction. The fleet had been built to defend human territory, to demonstrate resolve, but also to assure allies that the Commonwealth could be relied upon. The dreadnought shadow, visible even in the faint starlight, was a reminder that humanity's commitment was absolute. By the time the fleet returned to base, the first patrol had achieved everything expected. Sensors were calibrated, crew rotations settled into rhythm, and the fleet had proven its operational cohesion. Nothing had threatened them, yet the message was clear. The Commonwealth had arrived, prepared and unshakable, and any who might test the borders of its space would find the full might of disciplined humanity waiting. The Commonwealth Outer Rim Fleet set out again, its formation almost ritualistically precise. The same complement of ships, 1 carrier for battleships, 8 cruisers, 12 frigates, and the Dreadnought Resolute at the center. The hum of engines was a familiar reassurance, Mac batteries thrumming lightly in standby, sensors sweeping the void with mechanical thoroughness. This time, however, subtle irregularities began to appear on the fleet's long-range scanners. Nothing concrete, no ships, no weapons fire, just traces, faint energy signatures, anomalous gravitational readings from asteroid belts, and an unexplained echo in the subspace channels. Lieutenant Commander Haskell on Cruiser Aegis called it the kind of nothing that feels like something, a phrase that quickly spread through the fleet's communications. The dreadnought's captain, Commander Ryland Drex, observed the anomalies calmly. Keep standard protocol. We observe, we record, we don't engage unless engaged. His voice carried authority without alarm, a practiced tone honed over decades of Commonwealth naval discipline. The crew of Resolute felt the weight of their ship's reputation settle over the fleet like a protective shroud. 10 meters of layered armor and decades of design ingenuity made the dreadnought a floating fortress, capable of withstanding volleys that would obliterate any other vessel in the galaxy. Its mere presence amplified the fleet's deterrence, even in the absence of a visible threat. As the patrol continued, the anomalies persisted, intermittent, unpredictable, but never direct. Communications with nearby Council worlds confirmed no scheduled fleet movements. Nothing on record could explain the readings. The subtle unease spread through the junior officers, but the experienced captains and Gwen O'Connor, observing the patrol from the flagship carrier Vanguard, reminded everyone that readiness was its own defense. By the end of the second patrol, no engagement had occurred. The fleet returned to human-controlled space without incident, yet a quiet tension lingered in the minds of the officers. The anomalies were recorded, cataloged, and classified, but the fact remained. In this vast, seemingly empty expanse at the edge of the Commonwealth, even the calm had its shadows. Gwen O'Connor's personal log entry summarized the prevailing thought. Our borders are secure, our fleet is disciplined, our people ready. But the void is never truly empty. Observation is our first weapon. Patience is our greatest ally.